Hey, I'm Inda Craig-Galván, I'm a playwright. I am calling in from the stolen traditional territory of the Chumash people, colonially known as Simi Valley, California. Uh, Also, where the trial was held for the officers that beat Rodney King. It's just a great place to live. Um, Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Kyle Haden. He, him, his. I'm calling in from the ancestral lands of the Osage, commonly known today as Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And Inda and I are working together on a piece for the Ashland New Plays Festival. So it's good to see you.
Good to see you. We can
Uh,
actually see each other.
I know it's
Oh,
great. You can't see us, y'all, but we can see each other. So you'll
yes.
feel that energy, I think, during this conversation.
Or
So
maybe you'll see us. I don't know.
who knows? The
Think
world is
hard.
oyster. Yeah.
Use your imagination and we'll be there. Also, I use she, her, hers pronouns.
That's what theater's for, imagination. So
Word.
yeah, right. Look at us. Sound like artists. Okay, let's tell the people what we're doing. What is the play's title and synopsis that you've written that we'll be working on?
The play is titled Birth Breach, Breach Birth, with a slash in there in the middle. It's about a African American big animal vet in a rural Black community, farming community in Illinois. And she, in the course of doing a ultrasound on a mare in foal, sees in the ultrasound image a ship that was used to transport enslaved Africans. It's that image that we saw in our textbooks forever.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That may not be in textbooks now. Who knows? And one of those enslaved men sees her as well, and she has to figure out: is she imagining this? Is she losing her mind? Is she? Is it real? How does she get them out? What
Mm.
happens after she does get them out? And really, it's a play about grieving and remembering the people that were here before us.
And it's awesome.
Aww.
When I was reading if you read the script, friends, you see the image of the ship, and so you're reading and what's happening, what's going on, and then boom, it hits you like a freight train, and it's one of the reasons I do theater, for moments like that and thinking about how we, can build this play to realize a moment like that is just super great. So I was in at that moment. I was like, oh yeah, I want to work on this for sure.
Aww.
Yeah.
Aww.
So what made this come up for you? What inspired you to write this?
I was reading a book of poetry back when I was in grad school. One of my professors, shout out Dr. Valina Hasu Houston, uh,
Yes. Yes.
has a class on adaptation, and every semester that she teaches this class is a different form of adaptation. So sometimes you are going to museums and looking at paintings and adapting those to theater, or the semester I was in, we were reading poetry. And not to write a full play, but to sort of compile a list. I think our assignment was like a list of 10 over the course of the semester, plays that we could see in our head inspired by these pieces of poetry and what that story might be. And so then years later, when I was like, I need to write something, what do I have in my notebooks? I found that poem again and what I had said about it and what it meant to look at birth and death and and animal pregnancy and naming and owning, and it all just, and my daughter was studying animal sciences in undergrad. She's training to become a veterinarian now, and it all just kind of clicked in my head that there's some connection to this ship and the pregnancy of what it means for us and what it has brought and what we live with and the people who work the earth and people that take care of God's creatures. And how we treat animals because they're big and they're meant for work and they're meant for food,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to things that we care about because they're cute and fluffy.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started writing, and I'm a huge fan of fantasy stories. Of those all start with someone having an accident or a death or a bump on the head, and then you realize they're going on this journey that might not really be happening. It might still be all in their head. And so I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to give this Black woman that uh, this journey that begins as a weird thing in a barn and turns into a bit of an adventure for her. And
Mm-hmm.
a big part of her adventure is looking inside of herself and figuring out what she still needs to deal with.
Yeah, and I would imagine I've never been pregnant, though my wife has, but I would imagine too that like at that time in life, she's, 7 months pregnant, that is kind of a right
Yes.
time for that kind of introspection, right?
Yeah, I forgot to mention the veterinarian is also pregnant herself.
Yeah.
Yes, so I have been pregnant and uh, got a couple of kids. But yeah, you absolutely, besides worrying about the world and what's out there, I at least had the experience of like knowing that your whole life is going to change and you have an entire
Mhm.
person inside of you and you're carrying that around and you're going to carry that person around in a way for the rest of their life and yours.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a amazing world, and all these different elements that I feel like we don't explore as much in theater. I mean, just talking about Black farmers, right?
Right.
I feel like it's something we never discuss or never talk about, right? But so many of our people did that for so long, and yet that's you know just not
Exactly.
talked about. I can't remember seeing stories about that, you know. Um,
Exactly. Yeah, I remember, just fun fact, years ago, maybe like 20 years ago, there was a study that sort of declared that this one area of Illinois was the poorest community in the country.
mm,
Um, and Oprah did an episode about it. And it's an all Black community. And my father ended up buying a house in that community and living there.
oh wow.
And I would go there a lot and meet all the people that, everybody knew him. Everybody knew him. He's quite popular. He was a person you came to for anything, and he would help with everything, help you build whatever.
Yeah.
These people weren't destitute. These people were not. These people all own houses. These
Yeah.
people had there'd be horses walking down the street. There would be people farming in their yard, in their backyards. They had property. And the way that our country looks at, I think it was just, there weren't stores, a lot of
Mhm.
stores. There weren't a lot of bank. There was no bank, actually. There was no bank. And I think that's how they sort of made the determination that this was the poorest place because there was
Mhm.
no banking.
Mhm.
But you could drive to Kankakee. Like, it wasn't
Yeah.
the way that the small Black community of people who knew each other and took care of each other and who would send plates over and who would eh, got labeled was astounding to me. And there are so many pockets of this country with really specific communities that we don't see in plays or television or film.
Mhm.
And then we learn about them, and there's this wave of universality that
Mm.
happens. It's like, oh, wow, they're just like
Mhm.
me.
It's the flip side of, Us Magazine stars. They're just like us. If they go to the grocery store, you know, it's like, oh, look, these people, they eat food. It's like, of course they eat food. Come on, you know. I mean,
Wild.
yeah. I mean, for me, like, I don't know. I just am always astounded at the surprise of the variance in the Black experience in this country. That people are, oh wow, oh, Black people farm? Yes, Black people farm. We do everything. We are America. We do everything that other Americans do. So the opportunity to like share varied stories, I mean, is part of the reason why I do theater, right? And I think when we
Right.
start to look at these different angles on stories are it does become that universality, right? Which is the thing that brings people together eventually. It is the like, I laugh at the us stars, they're just like us, but like it is really comforting to know that like, just like buys groceries. Like I buy groceries too.
All right.
Maybe Justin and I could talk about the price of eggs at some point,
Right.
I don't know. Probably not.
Hilarious. You mentioned the impact you felt when you saw the image of the ship. Just curious, Kyle, what else drew you to this piece? You're like, that's it. It was just that picture. It wasn't even words.
That was
it.
That was just like, yes, chill. No, I think I really love the characters in this. The Deborah, the farmer who owns the mare, and Marcus, and like the relationship between Marcus and Ashanti, those main characters. I just am really tired of watching couples fight, right? There's like a brand of sitcom. There's a particular network that really traffics in this too. I don't want to name names, but like, the kind of wife and husband making fun of each other, sniping each other. And it's great to see people that are in love, that clearly love each other, that are trying to work through something. So the kind of reality and specificity of that relationship, like it is these two intelligent Black folks who love each other and are making it work, right? Seeing like Deborah's like crankiness, but her like kind of like well-roundedness. So like the kind of depth of character there and the specificity of those people, wanting a chance to experiment with them, dig into them, find out more about them, for me was really exciting. I just love working with characters and helping folks develop characters to figure out what happens to them. It's exciting. So
yeah.
So
yay.
That'll be great. So we're gonna have this workshop coming up. So like, what's gonna happen? What are you looking forward to in it to kind of embarking on the journey in this play? We'll have a week before we share it with folks.
I know. I am honestly most excited about working with actors.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote this first draft of the play in a writing workshop. And so we bring in pages and we would read them, and playwrights would read them, and nobody in the room besides me looked like the characters. So it was beautiful people, wonderful people, but hearing it read by actors who are demographically matching the characters is so helpful. And we have such dope actors. It's ridiculous. I'm a little in awe of this cast. And having someone I really wanted, the character you mentioned, the cranky Deborah, modeled after a friend my mother had when I was growing up, who I was like, she's so mean. But looking back on this woman's actions, she would give us a ride somewhere. She would bring money. She would comfort my mom. She would, when she was going through stuff, she was always there for our family. That's just the way she spoke. She was kind of gruff. So that's who Deborah's modeled after. And she's Jamaican American or Jamaican and living in America. And it was super important to me to include to represent different parts of the diaspora and not show, the monolithic Black person and what their different experiences are to our history. So we're just getting a chance to work with actors who have all these backgrounds and all these skills. It's like mad skills. It's crazy. And hearing feedback, because from people who don't know me personally, because sometimes we get in a playwriting group or a workshop or we just read with our friends all the time. And it's people who know you and know your tricks and might not call you out on some stuff. Not that this group did. They were great. Again, amazing group.
You got to mix it up sometimes.
But yes. And I've just so admired all of their work. And yeah,
it's a great group. And so you've never heard it read by actors?
No.
That's gonna be so exciting.
No.
Even the first read's gonna be like,
I know. Okay. Some of the writers in that workshop group were actors.
That's
But I've never
respect.
heard it read by Black actors
Okay, great. Yeah.
who were there just to support the work as actors do. So yes, I am excited to dig in and really figure out what the heck is happening in this play. Um,
And are you gonna write during the week? I mean, what's that process look for you
mhm.
when you're in a workshop like this? What do you take us behind the scenes a little bit? How do you like to do this?
I just want to hear it initially, hear thoughts, get feedback. Like, what are you hearing? Where do you think this is going? What questions do you still have? Um, that's particularly helpful to me. What questions do the people experiencing this play have? 'Cause rather than telling me, I don't understand this, just ask me a question, and then I'll know
Yeah.
you don't understand it, and then I won't feel like I failed.
Right.
Uh, and um, e- and yeah, off the bat, that hearing what is working for people, and then at night or in the day, working on those sections and figuring out what I can change and morph and coming in with new scenes the next day and fresh pages the next day and
Mm.
deletions and ideas. And the what best part about working with these actors, you can hear it immediately
Yes.
and see if that brilliant idea you had at 3 a.m. was just a fever dream or a beautiful fever dream that does work. Um, and just continue to do that until there's I feel like I have a thing that that we can share with people.
Yeah.
I mean, we're gonna share it regardless, but what is your approach? Because now that we're doing this virtually, to typically, Ashland's in live and in person. What's your approach now for doing this
Yeah.
virtually?
I think what's really great is that this level of workshop, when we're really focusing on the words and the story and trying to make it better, not a lot changes. There is something great about being the alchemy of being around a table together and being able to like pat somebody in the back or look at them like that. I miss that. But the real act of the thing we're doing is very much the same, I think. And for me, it's just asking a lot of questions. It's coming in and trying to puzzle out and figure out the entire world where this is happening. So, me asking questions about the relationship, about things that people are doing or how people might attack things or whatever. I just ask hundreds of questions. That's kind of my goal as a director, to kind of make the thing more of what it is, you know? So it's almost like it's like a fossil, right? It's buried in the ground. My kid's into dinosaurs, so I think about this, right? But they take the little brushes and they're kind of sweeping around it to like find out what the thing is, to excavate it and, hopefully put it in the museum so everybody can see it. So I'm the archaeologist or the chief archaeologist here. It's just trying to like sweep away the thing. So that's kind of that's kind of my role. I guess I'm cruise director too, just, keeping everybody positive and focused and, making sure we're all moving in the same direction. But
Yeah.
it's so much fun. It's so much fun to be part of these processes with playwrights. And I'm always very honored that people, want me to be in the room, to ask a bunch of annoying questions.
Please ask me questions, please. Help me figure this out.
Yeah, for sure. So this is I feel like a question that you have to ask everybody, everything with any time now. But we are, if you haven't noticed, in the middle of a pandemic, and I'm
Wait, what?
wondering. Yeah, I'm sorry. Maybe you didn't know. It's real bad out there. Um, how has that affected your process? Does it, factor into your stories? Is it showing up in your stories in any way, shape, or form? I know you're not writing pandemic plays. I hope you're not writing pandemic plays, but how is that reflected in your work? And
Sir, I have retired from writing pandemic plays.
thank you very much.
Um, I need theater companies, anybody who's listening, to stop asking us
Hard pass.
to write real quick, fast, 5 to 10 minute pieces exploiting our trauma right now
No, please don't.
of any sort.
Yeah.
I'm a Black woman. Don't ask me to exploit my trauma for Play Festival. So yes, in more positive ways, I have managed somehow through the grace of God to stay productive, um, because my day job is writing, and so I'm used to cranking out work, and um, I think ever since grad school, I went to grad school late in life. I was in grad school when my daughter was starting undergrad, and not the same school, thank goodness, because I couldn't have been her TA. But I got into um, just the habit of doing lots of work at the same time, having lots of projects due at the same time. And that is something that I've just kind of kept up,
Mhm.
a habit that I've kept up that's a good habit. Um, my potato chip eating habit I can't even blame it on COVID. I just
Mm.
like chips when I write.
Chips are
Um,
beautiful. Don't apologize for that. Potato chips are life.
oh
I
my
had half a
gosh.
bag yesterday. I'm not.
There is something about the crunch when I'm writing.
Hmm?
It's so good. Anyway,
This is what I miss about us not being in person, because I would have every rehearsal. Like, I would have a bowl of chips there for us. I'm just gonna eat chips while we do this. I'm just gonna, maybe I'll
oh
tell the
man,
actors to come with a bag of chips for themselves. So
I know.
anyway, I
You're gonna
interrupted
be
you.
like, Inda, can you turn off your mic?
We'll crunch
Because
louder.
thank you for encouraging my chip habit. So yeah, I've been able to continue to be productive. I did have a period during the pandemic where I spent probably like 3 weeks where I was like, nope, I'm not doing anything. And I had uh,
Mm.
I developed a different habit of cookies and gin for breakfast in bed, and then realized, okay, and then I had a deadline, and I was
Yeah.
like, all right, well, let me go ahead and push on, because me being in this bed eating cookies and gin is not going to change science or help anyone
No.
or continue to create art. It's not going to do anything. I did write a short play though about a woman who was eating. Well, it started. It's not about it. It started with a woman eating gin and cookies and breakfast, and in bed, and it ended up being one of my favorite short plays that I've written.
That's great. I love that.
But yeah, I've been able to push through it because I got deadlines, yo.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
got a mortgage now.
It's real talk. Doesn't pay
Art
itself.
art is work and work is art. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah. But I've tried not to write. There is one play that I have that's about a woman with agoraphobia that just kind of made sense to include in the rewrite a little hint of the fact that, wait, are you staying in because there's a virus, or are you just staying in?
Yeah.
But otherwise, I tend to write so much magical realism and sort of fantasy stuff anyway that it doesn't. I can set it in a world that that COVID doesn't exist.
Which is kind of great to take you and us out of it, right?
Yeah,
It's nice to be able to be transported somewhere. I was resistant to a lot of online theater at the beginning, but it's nice to be able to, go somewhere else mentally instead of
yeah,
my couch where I
yeah,
am all the time. So,
yes, yes, yes. Um, but a big part of my process is making just a physical space for myself that feels good.
mhm.
So I wish
Yeah,
you could all be in my office right now.
I know.
Take a
I know.
virtual tour. Yeah, I need to feel safe and caressed by good smells and good sights, and so yeah,
Cozy.
it's cozy.
Yeah, yeah. I should ask you the question that uh, we should both ask this question to each other. You should ask it to me. I'll ask it to you. Not because I have a great answer in mind. I'm just really curious what I'm going to say. Um, what's the best advice you've ever gotten?
Oh,
And you don't have to limit it to theater if you don't want to.
it was actually in theater, in sketch comedy theater in Second City in Chicago, and uh, oh God, I just blanked on her last name. And Libra. I started everything late in life, apparently. I started doing sketch comedy when I was like 30, studying, training there. And I was like, all these children running around me doing in their 20s and late teens. And how do I do this? And how do they're all working over their Second City and they're at IO and they're at the Annoyance and they're doing this and that and the other. And I got kids at home. How do I navigate this career and continue to grow in this and do this? Because I really enjoyed writing and performing sketch comedy. And she said, there's no rule.
Mm.
You have to do what works for you and your household, your life. You do not have to break your neck trying to take everybody's classes and working here and there, and you have to do what works for you.
Yeah.
And that was the best advice for me.
That's great.
Yeah. And what about you? Best advice ever?
It's probably my grandmother. When I was in my sophomore year of college, I was looking at studying abroad. I got into this program to go to London. I wasn't sure I wanted to go. Like the timing was kind of off and all my friends were going to be gone after. I was going to miss people for like a year and a half. And so I was talking to my grandma. I was like, yeah, I don't know if I want to go. I mean, how am I going to get my hair cut in London? And she was like, there's Black people everywhere. Get your hair cut in London. But then she was like, don't let people.
Oh, I thought that was the advice.
No, it wasn't the advice. It was the precursor to the advice. I mean, that is also good advice. But the precursor was basically like, don't let people tell you where you can or can't go or what you can or can't do. You do what you want to do, And, I think kind of like where I was in life, I was putting limitations on myself or allowing people to put limitations on me for various and sundry reasons. And, for me, it was about very much like, I need to figure out my own path. What are the things that I'm interested in? What are the things that I'm passionate about? I'm just going to try to do those things. So I feel very strongly that, making art is a choice. You're not forced into it because you can't do anything else. Like now I could do a lot of other things, but I love telling stories. And so for me, this is what I want to do. I want to help people tell stories. I want to tell stories myself. I want to train people to be able to tell stories. So I choose to do that. And I'm fortunate that it's worked out. That's a choice. So that's grandma. I appreciate her for pointing me in that direction.
That's great. That's great. Is she still with us?
She's not, unfortunately, but my son is named after her. So,
Aww.
So and he has a lot of her mannerisms.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it's funny how that happens, right? So yeah.
Wow. Did you go to London?
I didn't go. I stayed. And actually it was the best thing for me because I ended up doing a Shakespeare play my junior year, Much Ado About Nothing, with Dennis Krausnick from Shakespeare and Company, who also passed away a year or two ago. But Dennis was the first person who told me I could be a professional actor, who was like, you could have a career in this, and I was like, so that kind of started the trajectory. So, and that if I go to London, that doesn't happen. I don't have that experience with him. So, right. I got to go to London a couple years later, have some Guinness, see some museums, whatever. But
it was still there.
It's still there. Maybe
London ain't going nowhere.
Maybe I'll go when the virus lifts. Who knows?
Yeah. So, get a haircut.
All right. Next Saturday. Very excited.
Oh, there you go. Or you could go to London, get a haircut, and then just come right back.
I'm not rocking that kind of money. But I mean, I know the airlines are struggling. Maybe fares are lower, but yeah. So
call Leo because he's just like us, and
just like us. He can help a brother out. Come on, you're right.
You borrowed a jet.
Well, let me tell the people. Saturday and Sunday, April 24th and 25th, we're having 2 live Zoom readings of Birth, Breach, Breach, Birth. Tickets are available at ashlandnewplays.org. Check out the Ashland New Plays Festival, all your social media handles. Obviously, a company near dear to my heart that I've been affiliated with for a long time. So I hope people will show up and show out as much as you can on Zoom. So
yes.
But I'm so excited and honored to be embarking on this with you, Inda, and I'm excited for this to be unleashed upon the people.
Yes, I am. Thank you so much, Kyle. I'm super excited to be working with you and to dig in. And I know you're going to give me some notes after we end this. So I'm going to
Just
light a
talk.
candle.
We'll get some chips and we'll do it. It'll be
We'll
good.
get some chips and you'll ask me some questions.
That's right. That's right. All right. Take care. We'll talk soon.
Yay. See you. Peace.
Bye.